You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call. I'm joined today with Brad Hunt, and today's guest is Rihana, Cary. She's been a friend of mine for a long time.
Yeah,
Brad.
I think the first podcast was, what'd you say, episode 68? Something like that? Long time ago.
Very long time ago. It's kind of funny. I sit down with her at the Western Hunt Expo, and we talk about what's going on in Rihana's life. I've always appreciated Rihana for a million reasons. She's an amazing hunter.
Yep.
Bow hunter.
Bow hunter. She's the real deal, for sure.
She's a real deal. She gets it done. I want to tap into anybody who can pull off the sort of hunts that she's done. I want to know how they do it. How do they handle pressure? How do they stay cool under pressure? And she's killed some elk solo, nice bulls. She's killed quite a few bulls with her bow.
Yep. She's killed bigger elk than I have, that's for sure.
And these are on public land, over-the-counter type hunts.
Yep. And
she's just an amazing hunter. And then she's an amazing person too. Mm-hmm. If you don't, know a lot about her, she's just a wonderful friend.
Yep.
And has been a friend for a long time. And it's funny, we were going back through all the podcasts we're done. I was curious. I'm like, how long have I known Rihana? And how many shows have we had together? And wow, like I'm spinning through it on my YouTube channel. I'm like, well, we go back.
There's a lot.
We go back. And so I really appreciate her. I think you'll enjoy the show. She is working really hard with Cameron Haynes right now with his new show. And if you haven't checked out his new show, you need to check it out.
I highly recommend it.
I've enjoyed every single one. I've listened to every single podcast, and I have watched every Lift, Run, Shoot episode.
Right. So those are my favorite.
For those that don't know, Cam has various guests that come to Eugene, and they run Cam's horrible
and it's not just like he
circuit.
Puts him through this ringer of just pain
sure he
and
does.
death. He does, but at the same time, he still accommodates. Like, maybe we won't run a full
I think
marathon,
various guests run different distances, and then they do Lift, Run, Shoot with Cam.
Yep.
And all of that, and Cam doesn't really go soft on them.
No,
and these are some beasts, so it's cool to see them all get together.
And it's cool seeing them come into the hunting side of things too.
That's what I was going to say. Yep. You have a lot of people who are newer to hunting, but have massive audiences, and they will be exposing, mainstream folks, more broad audiences to what hunting is about, and especially bow hunting. You get them each set up with a bow, and they go to a bow shop, never done that before, and then they go out and they shoot. They pop balloons on the 3D targets from far away.
In the cop farms.
So
cool.
It's a very cool show. Check that one out. I think you're going to enjoy it. I hope you enjoy today's show. Cam's show is sponsored by Mountain Ops, and we've been partners with Mountain Ops since day one as well.
Yep.
And so if you do want to support us, you can do that by shopping at Mountain Ops. Use the code GRITTY over there. Rihana is there with Mountain Ops as well. So it's all one big family in that regard. And I would recommend the Ignite. I like the Yeti. I like the Blaze Shots.
Yep.
They have that new Rocky Mountain Ricky.
Rocky Mountain Ricky, I think, is like a grapish flavor.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Brad still likes his sweet tea.
I do.
I like the pink lemonade, Citrus Bliss.
I've been on a Citrus Bliss kick lately, though.
There's some good stuff for a little caffeine pick-me-up. So check that out, and then check out our friends. Check out Peaks Equipment.
Yep.
They released a new teepee, floorless shelter.
Yes.
Stove compatible. It's got the cross-member system in the Peak.
And it's lightweight and durable as heck. I mean, we've put it through the
2 doors. It's a sweet design. We've been working with Peaks for 3 years on the design. They take it to us. We beat the crap out of it. They fix it, and it's been a long time coming. It's a great shelter, or we wouldn't be promoting it. So check that out, and the gators and the poles and all that. And on February 26th, we have a film series. We're going to start dropping probably 8 weeks of film.
Yep.
Every Sunday, starting February 26th. A couple weeks away. So look for that. Hope you like the films. Thanks for tuning in, and stay gritty. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call, and today I'm joined by my friend, Rihana, Cary.
Woo!
We are at the Western Hunt Expo, and she has graciously come on to the podcast to answer all my questions.
I'm kind of nervous, honestly. He was really excited about the question list that he has. And
Yes.
it's actually written out on your phone, it looks like.
Well, no, I just have something I'm going to share with Rihana here. Okay, so we've known each other for quite a long time.
Since my beginning in this industry.
Yeah. So if you Google Rihana Cary,
yes,
right? Like, just go to YouTube, and if you type in Rihana Cary, you get some stuff come up. And then if you type in Rihana Cary Gritty, there's some stuff. So there's like
you could take that one down. Actually,
there's this one from 7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years. Was that our very first one that we ever did?
I think it is.
That's when we met then, 7 years ago.
Back when I had
meeting you.
Back when I had it's episode 68.
Maybe you should change that thumbnail at least and just put my picture on there.
I mean, maybe. But what's so funny about that is if I would have said to you in 2022, 2023, I guess, that you would be doing what you're doing and where you're at, that I would be what I'm doing, and that we would be friends like we are today, I would never have seen that coming.
No, me neither, honestly. Yeah, it's crazy to think about it and like look at how our paths diverge and then they come together, diverge, come together.
Yeah.
It is. It's pretty interesting to think about.
And
yeah, look at that. Oh, wow, that's funny. So another podcast.
Yep, other podcast.
Yeah, we've done quite a few podcasts together.
I had Robbie on here the other day.
Oh, we did 2 with me or was that? Yep, that was the next. Yep. 6 years.
And there's that one.
Oh my gosh, we did 3 with that guy.
And this one.
Oh my, what? I don't even remember doing all of these with you 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
So for people who don't know Rihana, if you've listened to my podcast over the years, you probably do, because I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Have been ever since I realized you were the real deal. You know, I misjudge a pretty girl who can hunt. I'm like, she isn't doing it for the,
right reasons. Cooler bunnies. I mean, definitely there are some people in this industry that put a bad name out there for women like me.
And also as an arrogant man, I just thought, well, not very many. Well, a girl can't do what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I'm being real.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you do some pretty rugged and crazy stuff. But if I were right there next to you, I'd be doing it too, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I started to, when you did come and start working at Mountain Ops.
Yeah.
And I lived across the street. We had hit the gym, do workouts together.
Yep.
We had some good times. We did some workouts with Chris Spieler. It was fun.
Oh yeah, that one was a good one. Yeah, that was a good time. You're actually the person who got me not the position at Mountain Ops, but you were the one who kind of, convinced me to come and work. Because I did have some reservations. There were some things I was like, I don't know. It's uprooting my whole life. I'm going to have to move from Oregon. I did have a good career as a nurse. So I was like, oh, gosh, there's so many questions here. And then I was also talking with Cam at that point, too.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, Cam, I'd love to come and help you with your brand and be your assistant. And he's like, Rihana, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready at this point because he still had a full-time job. So yeah, it's very interesting to see now kind of how the tables have turned and shifted. And what I'm doing now is it's just a time of growth, which I'm really excited about.
And your hunting prowess has only gotten more impressive. The last video I saw was you hunting axis.
Yeah, so I hunted axis deer this year in Hawaii, in Maui, with Maui Hunting Safaris, the Pierres, which are some of the most amazing people. If you could ever have a chance to go and hunt in Hawaii. I know you have, but not on Maui.
I haven't done it yet.
Oh, I thought you went to Lanai.
No,
okay.
Not yet.
Well, Maui is incredible. It's a lot different than Lanai. There's not as much pressure, I feel, and the axis deer are bananas there. It's like ants. There's so many, and you watch them coming up from the ocean, and it's just like, holy cow, there's so many. So I did that, and I was actually super excited to bring my boyfriend Logan Stark there and share that experience with him. And it was good that I did, because now he has the bug of Maui, and he's like, we have to go back every year. We were actually going to go back for the new year to go and do pheasants there, because they have pheasant hunting, which is pretty cool. But it was during the time he was doing his 7 continents tour, so we couldn't go. But we'll go back this year for sure.
So So fast forward to lately, right? I want to jump right into this new chapter of your life. So Cam started his podcast.
Yep. So
launched it.
Yep. Cam retired. He retired back in October, and that was kind of my.
Can you define retired? Because people are like, "What? What do you mean retired?"
So Cam,
some people,
yes, he had a full-time job working for the Springfield Utility Board for 25 years. You know, he in the end was like buyer manager, managed all the buying and all that sort of thing. So, he definitely had his success within that career and growth in that 25 years. But he was just finally able to retire, 55. You can do that in Oregon or whatever. I don't know that much about it yet. But yeah, so Cam retired and I was like, okay, here we are. Like, okay, I know you're retired now. What are we going to do next? He obviously too did his Endure book. So that was launched back in April of last year.
I read that.
Yes. And so I was able to help him on his book tour and set up a few podcasts for him to go on. And I helped him with his media kit and his book kit that he sent out to all of the influencers and stuff like that. And then I was able to go on the tour with him and help him with photos and video, all that kind of stuff. Then I was like, okay, that's when I planted that seed. I was like, we really got to get this podcast thing started. Like, you need to do it. And two, Joe really helped because we did see Joe on the book tour. And, we talked to him a little bit and he's like, you guys got to do it. And so from there, kind of the idea was like, hey, we're bringing people out to Oregon to do the podcast. Like, let's have them lift, run, and shoot. And let's do a full series on it. Like, you haven't put anything on YouTube for years. It's been 4 years that he's been inactive on YouTube, and his videos get a lot of views. So we decided to not just do a podcast, but we did a whole lift, run, shoot production as well. And it's, gaining some traction for sure. It's definitely been a while since he's posted on YouTube. So people are just finally starting to see it. But yeah, I mean, we're getting some pretty good views on there.
I love it.
Yeah.
It will continue to just grow.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam has he's one of a kind.
Yeah.
And I was excited. I knew about this for a long time, and I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting because you and I talk. And
you helped. We talked a lot about podcasting and launch and what to do.
What works, what doesn't work, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I've listened to all of them so far. I've watched them, actually. I like the YouTube medium. I could see myself listening when I'm on the road or whatever, but I still tend to go to YouTube nowadays to consume podcasts.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed all of them. I really enjoyed that one with Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom.
Yep. I wasn't at that one, unfortunately. I kind of wish I was because I didn't realize what a beast he was. And I have not listened to his podcast, so I need to go and listen to it. But, I'm not a big podcast consumer. Like, I'll listen to yours, like I'll listen to Joe's, but it's all dependent on the person who's on it, Like, I don't listen to all of Joe's. I just listen to certain ones with people that I like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to do
same.
more. Yeah.
I started listening to Chris when he first started. I don't even know. It came up on my feed.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and it was a topic that pertained to my children. I have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
We live in a weird world right now.
Yes.
It was about dating and female and male relationships, and he had some incredible guests on, and I started following more and more of that. And I kind of was following Chris before most people did.
Yeah.
And then, to testament to how good the show is, it just kept compounding and growing and growing. And fast forward, and it's become a really great show. Background that he has is totally different from like my own. Yeah. It's like he was on like an episode of Big Brother or whatever.
I think it was Love Island.
Love Island.
Yes, he was on Love Island.
What a pointless. Did you see his hair? It's like an afro this big.
I didn't.
Like giant walking around.
I could not imagine him
super
with
jacked
that.
and tan, just like this shallow, empty show. I never watched. I didn't even know what Love Island was till I heard him talk about it. But to see him come, and he's from England.
UK, yeah.
UK. Britain comes down, and Cam's like got a little Beethoven going, or just kind of mocking He's just sort of, look, you have two dudes from totally different worlds. Like a logger from Oregon in this obscure place. And then you got Chris, England.
Yeah.
But they get together. I really enjoyed it. The part I liked the most, I listened to their whole podcast, but I really liked the lift, run, shoot piece.
The behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's so many good things that happen.
And I think that's where Cam really shines, by the way, because I've gotten to know Cam over the years, spent some time. We got to shoot a tack together a couple years in a row.
Yep.
You get to spend 5-6 hours just hanging out with a small group, talking and shooting. And what I started to learn was this whole side of him that is hard to see otherwise.
Yep.
He's really funny.
He's really witty.
He's
Very
a lot
witty.
like Truett.
Yeah.
More
exactly.
than you think. And his son, Truett.
It's like, where do you think they got it from?
Exactly.
They got it from their dad.
And Truett is really funny.
I know.
He's perfectly okay with self-mockery and self-deprecation. And
he's very comfortable in his own skin.
It's amazing because he also, like his dad, gets hate.
Yeah.
Like we all do, anybody in the public eye. But they go after this nice guy who's just out having fun and breaking pull-up world records, you know?
Just a beast.
Just a stud. And
always in a good mood.
A nice human being.
Yes.
Only to get hate like that. And he just seemed to roll on.
Persevere, yeah.
It's amazing because some people, they get that kind of hate, and it's just not deserved.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to deal with it. They just don't know how to roll through it.
Luckily, Cam has dealt with it in a really great way and was able to, tell the boys and show them kind of when you're confident in your skin and who you are, then no one can bring you down. I feel like that's kind of what he's always said to them. And Truett is definitely one of my favorite people. I actually hired him to come and work at Mountain Ops because he is so funny. Like, I remember meeting him when he was probably like 16. I think I've known him that long, 10 years or so. And I started following him on social media, and I would see all these funny videos he was posting on his social media. If you go back in Truett's feed, there's some funny things. He's like, his mom, he's like, I don't know, doing stupid stuff in the shower, whatever it is, like just funny things. And I'm like, we need to hire this guy to come and work at Mountain Ops. He's hilarious.
The first time I saw him, he was mimicking Cam shooting his bow. Lift, run, shoot, mimic, where he's making fun of his dad. And I was like, wow, that cuts a little close to home. Like, this is like hilarious. Like the stereotypical
Cam
enactment of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that is really funny. And Cam's like, yeah, whatever.
He loves it. Their banter back and forth on social media is hilarious because, like, even he'll do stuff on the Mountain Ops page when he was running the social media, and it was just so funny to see Cam's response, and then Truett would come back with some like really witty, funny thing talking about their history. One of my favorite ones that he just did recently was he did like Hasbulla. Hasbulla was like filming on the phone, and he's like, this is me filming my dad, like my whole life growing up. And now that I'm getting like closer and closer with his family, which I've known Cam's family for, 10 years. I've known his wife. And Tanner, his son now too, is working for the podcast. So, Tanner was a ranger and he's out now.
I saw a post the other day. I think Truett was posting or somebody. Tanner's out there with like, I don't remember, like he just finished a 50-mile race.
Yeah.
And I think he had like a beer and a cigarette, like just post-race, and looked just fine, like he hadn't run 50K.
Yeah.
Like he's a beast.
Yes.
And
both of them are,
nobody really, he doesn't have the attention or the like, I know Truett and I know Cam because they're in the public square.
Yeah.
I never knew Tanner.
No, Tanner.
Really, other than a few things, and to see the guy's an animal.
He is. Yeah, he is. I mean, working for Cam is definitely a very like good test of physical ability because, especially for the cameramen, because we have to get to the top of the mountain before they do. Like, we're up at the top of the mountain trying to get photos and video of them.
Yeah.
And, we have to document them touching the Pisgah Summit.
Yeah.
Like, we have to. And so we have to get up there before they do. And then with Chandler, we actually ran the mountain twice in one day. So, we had to run to the top, and then we had to, go. We did some podcasts, did lift, run, shoot. And then, Cam was like, hey, we've got 10 more miles to do a marathon. You want to do it? And Chandler, of course, being who he is like, let's go. So they went.
I think he said the longest distance Chandler had ever run was
maybe 10 miles or
10 miles or
yep.
something.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day he did 26.
And that's what was really cool too, is like, that's kind of the point of the series, is trying to even unlock this inner beast of the guests, even though they are already so,
accomplished
in fitness a lot. Where like we had Justin on too, and he's more accomplished in business. And I think Cam really related to him because it was like construction, kind of blue collar stuff that Cam did. And so yeah, no, it's definitely.
That's my favorite part though, is the lift, run, shoot.
Yep.
Chris had never shot a bow before.
Nope.
So here he is learning all this cool stuff, getting exposed to our world.
Yep.
And then after that, he ran 20 miles with Cam.
I think he did. Rich did 20 miles. I don't know how many Chris did. I was not at that episode.
Chris is not built. He's not in fit.
Not a runner.
Condition like this. Yeah,
no,
I
don't think he ran that far. I can't remember. Okay. Maybe he did. I don't know.
I think it was absurd.
He said
what he ran was still absurd. I look at it and I'm like, what's the farthest I have run actually consecutively? Mm-hmm. Can I consider myself tough and able to go a long way and grit it out and stuff. But I look at some of this and I'm like, some of those running miles, that's logging something that's out of my wheelhouse a little bit.
Yep.
And yet some of these other guys too. And they just did it anyway.
What's different, too, is like, running on pavement, running on flat ground. We're running mountain summits.
Yeah.
Like, we are really, like, it's uphill. And not everyone runs. Chandler was definitely the one that ran the most uphill. Because that's hard. Like, and keeping up with Cam, I mean, good freaking luck. And it's cool, too, because these people can really see Cam in his element.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop. And he keeps going, and he runs up the whole mountain. He'll run back.
It was Dan Staten.
Oh,
I think Dan ran 20 miles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Dan was like, not his favorite day.
No.
Like he said at the end, I was like, Cam, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to breathe and get it done.
And
let's talk afterward.
I know. It's pretty cool to see that that Cam unlocks that and like brings out that inner beast in people that they didn't even know was there. Like Chandler had said, Cam awoke a sleeping giant within me, because he takes training so seriously, especially Michael Chandler. And now I'm sure you saw he's going to be fighting Conor McGregor. Yeah. So that's what's really cool is like, he's like, now I know where I need to work on, in my career and what I can do to be a better fighter. And that's, trying to get cardio up. I mean, that's such a huge part of what they do, too.
Oh, yeah.
But for him not running, like, ever that much, he did phenomenal. Like, he really did such a great job. So that's what's really cool to see. And, all of these people, what's even cooler is, like, getting to know them and see how incredible of people they are. Like, we just had Natalie Eva Marie. I was like, can we be friends?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh my gosh, no, it's dropping tomorrow. So I'm like, can we be friends? Like, I want to hang out with you.
She's such a fascinating person.
She is. And just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
When you look at her too, you're just like, she gets your attention.
Well, and then so you see people on social media, right? And so you're like, you never know what they really look like in person. Mm-hmm. Well, you see her and you're just like, you're even prettier than what I've seen. I'm like, you're probably the prettiest thing to ever come to this hunting space. So get ready. But she is super open to it, and she loves hunting. She shot her first bull. I talked to her after, and she was like, it definitely could have gone one of two ways for me. Like, I could have gone more to the PETA route, like, because she was vegan for a long time, but it didn't work for her. Or I could have gone like full bore hunting, and she's like, I am full bore hunting. I want to go. Like, when's our next hunt? Let's go.
Yep.
So it's really cool to see like these different people coming into our space and just loving it and thriving, because it is such an interesting field for a lot of people. It's like meat is a part of everyone's life for the most part, and they don't really think about where it's coming from, and for them to see, like, they come and Tracy, Cam's wife, cooks us elk chili. She cooks us, spaghetti with the elk.
Like that's what's going to happen after this grueling, long lift, run, shoot day.
Is we're going to eat the elk that Cam has harvested.
Yeah.
And so Cam's able to kind of explain it to him, while we're all sitting there eating, like, hey, this was my bull. Like, we honor the lives of these animals in a way that most people will never get to experience in their lives. And so it's a pretty rewarding thing to be able to bring them into that space. And even Chris, I think he wants to go hunting too.
Yeah.
He lives in Austin. He's not too far from Logan and I.
It's so cool because, here we are with Cam saying, I want to be the best predator I can be, the best bow hunter I can be.
Yep.
And he's taken that to, like, we're all, hunting is man's oldest try at life. Like, we're all here today because our ancestors hunted, right? It's actually in our DNA. What Cam does is probably the most primal part of what it means to be a man. And so here he is, just bringing it into the modern world, and then, the other thing is to be a warrior. Those are like the two things, hunting or fighting.
Yep.
Those are like as human and primal as it gets.
Yeah.
And Cam has taken the hunting part to this extreme level, and then he's able to expose that in the modern world to people who think it's an anachronistic and old and not relevant today, and go, no, it's who we are. It's relevant. It's now. And it's really neat to see the mainstream be exposed to it and start to value it and see it for what it is.
And two, I think what's also really cool is, like, a lot of people are scared to talk about hunting. A lot of people that even hunt, like Candace Owens, she hunts. I've never once seen that on her platforms, and why? Because they're scared of the backlash.
She talks about hunting quite a bit on her show, going to Africa with her husband, mostly around the management of guns and safety and some conservation.
Yeah.
But she does have to couch it in a caveat, right?
Yes.
But she's not going to put a picture of her with a dead animal.
Absolutely
not.
not.
She's going so far, but not that far.
Yeah.
And,
which is it's fine, and it's all your own personal preference. But, it's cool for these people to be like, hey, I want to stand up for what I believe in and what's right. And I'm at a point in my life now, because they've had so much success, they found so much success, that they don't care. They're like, somebody's negative comment on social media is not going to make or break, like, what I've built thus far. And if they don't want to follow me, then it's okay. Like, I don't care. So it's just really cool. The people that we're bringing on, the people we're exposing, and
the lift, run, shoot piece.
Yes.
Right. Because you have basically the way it works, folks, is there's a podcast where he sits down and he talks to the guest.
Yeah.
But the first thing that happens is typically they fly in, or they get there.
Yep.
It's face to face. They hang out with Cam. They do the lift, the lift, run, shoot.
Yep.
And they go through typically some insane mountain run like Cam does all the time. They do their lifting and they shoot their bow that day.
Yep.
Now, that's a grueling workout.
Yeah.
Many people can't even come close to being able to do it. After that, they have their dinner. They kind of hang out. They eat a little elk, wild game, all that kind of stuff. And at some point, the podcast gets recorded.
Yep.
After all of that. So the guest is now reflecting on what they accomplished or what this was like, the whole experience. And then they've had a whole basically day to bond or hang out or get to know each other and suffer together.
Yeah.
Right? And have the show. And then you can, I can listen to the podcast, watch it, but there's also this 15-minute short film basically of that lift, run, shoot session.
Yep.
And what they talked about. And for each person, it's going to be different.
Yes.
For Chris, there was quite a bit of bow shop stuff. He never shot before.
Yep.
He had to get a bow built up for him.
Yep.
Arrows done up, the whole thing. So it's all part of this thing. You get to watch someone be exposed. Other guys already hunt. They already shoot bows. So they just show up, and it's a different thing. We ran a marathon.
Yeah.
I got to watch it all. What I love about it is that is where Cam is the most Cam. And so people are going to see a side of Cam that they maybe haven't been able to see a lot of.
Yeah.
You get little pieces of it when him and Rogan are in the back of the truck after an elk, and they start talking about how, Cam should come up with a slogan like keep hammering, maybe make a T-shirt about it, and it's like there's this sort of subtle humor going on in banter between the two that you don't get to see very often, and you you wouldn't know that is there. And when Cam is in the car, too, I love that. You're just going to see more of that. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I think it's genius to couple those two things together.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole package. And when Cam's in the car with Chris and they roll up on that logger.
Oh, my gosh. That was my favorite part. That was hilarious.
And the logger is like, he's like your true blue Republican conservative.
For sure.
And he's just talking to Cam. Cam's talking to him. They're both from a logging town in Oregon.
Yep.
And the guy's like, these gosh darn dang liberals messing this thing. And Chris is over there.
Think we're just a bunch of hillbillies. Well, that's right, we are. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and Chris is in there cringing a little bit, like, okay, yeah. And Cam's just having a conversation with one of his people.
Yes.
And then they says goodbye, and they pull off, and he drives on. And Chris makes the comment, like, that can ruffle some feathers. Like, that conversation can ruffle some feathers. Yeah. As soon as someone starts with, those gosh dang damn liberals do this, that could be a problem. And Cam goes, well, I know that everything I hear, he says after that comment, I'm going to agree with.
Oh, it's so funny. He's actually very funny. And what I do love about him on the podcast is he's like unapologetically himself, which is really nice to see. And that's why I've been, friends with Cam for so long. And I've always seen that side of him. Yeah. No one else really does. He's always just very quiet and calm, like very collected demeanor when he's around a bunch of people in the industry or whatnot. But once you get to know him, it's like an onion, you peel back the layers and there's a lot that's there behind that. And I even too have seen such a tremendous change in him since he became friends with Joe.
Absolutely.
Joe has also kind of really helped bring out that unapologetic side of Cam where it's I am who I am and owning it, so.
Well, what I love about their relationship is Joe Rogan isn't exactly the most, he's not a religious person in general.
No.
He's not, and in fact, he has some suspicion about religion in general and the motives and why, and rightfully so. And he has a totally different background, city life and this whole thing. But he becomes close to Cam, and he has deep respect for Cam and what Cam believes.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting Cam for the first time, really meeting him. We were at the ATA show. I think it was 2016. And I did a workout with Cam. And then afterward, we went and got breakfast.
Yeah.
And I got to hang out with him and talk to him. And he was telling me, and he had just sort of, he's just getting it to be close friends with Rogan at that point. And he was sharing some things about their relationship. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt that Joe was such a profound and positive influence on Cam.
Yeah, he has been.
And Cam, what I love about Cam is he took that gift and he blew it into something, even greater. Mm-hmm. And I have seen others get that gift from Rogan.
And they don't do the same.
Don't do very little with it.
Yes.
And so it's a testament to Cam's, tenacity and his character that he's where he's at. And I love the fact that Cam doesn't change his beliefs to please Rogan.
No, absolutely not.
He doesn't change anything about what he thinks to try to befriend Joe. He was like, this is who I am, like me or don't.
Well, and two, Joe sees right through that. He's at a point where he is in his career because he can weed out those, social climbers or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And he can read bullshit like none other. Joe can. So that's why he really respects the people that are like Cam, blue collar, no guff, real raw people.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Cam is. So yeah, no, I'm really excited about this next chapter. I still am working with Mountain Ops more as a contractor and just with managing a few relationships and partnerships.
Yep.
So that's really incredible that they've kind of kept me on to do that. But they're also a huge sponsor of the podcast too. So I was kind of able to couple that in there as well. So it's pretty cool. And they've been really supportive of the whole thing, and so
you're living basically the life that many envy.
No. So let me tell you guys what my life is actually really like. It is constant living out of suitcase. I've been home for less than 24 hours twice in the month of January in Texas, which I just moved to Texas. And I literally, it's probably, waking up at 7 in the morning, working until 10 o'clock at night. Like, I am not kidding. It has been like a grind, but I feel like I'm working for something that's going to change the landscape of not just the hunting space, but also kind of unlock the potential for a lot of crossover from other spaces, CrossFit, WWE, like all of these people that we're having in. I feel like this is going to help change like the world almost, and it can help the world of hunting as it sits now.
I'll tell you, it helps someone like me who's trying to say, hey, you can go farther, you can go harder.
Yeah.
You have more in you than you think you do.
Yeah.
On so many levels, suffering, sticking it out, not quitting, not giving up on the mountain, so on. And when I look at someone like, Chandler, get up there and do this thing, and others, and I'm sure I'm going to see more that go out there and they surprise themselves.
Yeah.
I've never ran a marathon before. I didn't train for this, by the way, before I just came to this podcast session.
Yeah.
And I went from maximum, running 10 miles in my life to 26.
Yeah.
Untrained. And Cam's like, yeah, a lot of people think you have to build up to this whole thing, and how much of this is actually your body can do more than you think, and mentally you just need to you're tougher than you realize.
Oh, for sure.
When I hear stuff like that, and I feel like I push envelopes, I realize, no, I'm pretty weak. Like I can, there's so much more that's going untapped, and it just pushes me now to it changes it's a paradigm shift.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I feel that for myself as well. Like, I really do. I feel like it's helped change like my trajectory too. And I think even just being around Cam and the people that we're around, it's hard not to find motivation and drive in those kinds of settings. And it's just really cool when you can take it and translate it to, like, what I'm doing right now is translating it to the business side of things, right? Like, I'm trying to build this keep hammering empire and helping where I can. It's really cool to be a part of too. And we are also, so it's Brandlin Shockey, Kip Folks, Cam Haynes, and I. And so what's even cooler is that they like coupled me in there with all of those like badass people like Kip. I mean, come on, the founder of Under Armour, like he is just a wealth of knowledge, and he's really been a super amazing asset for me too, to call and be like, hey, this happened, like, help walk me through it. And, he's just got such an incredible, like, business savvy. It's no surprise that he's been so successful in his career. And so I'm just trying to, like, soak up as much as I can from him. And then obviously Brandlin, he's been in the space for a long time with his dad, Jim Shockey. He actually had my most favorite, produced my most favorite show on the Outdoor Channel, which was Uncharted. I mean, that was just freaking amazing.
Mine as well.
Yeah. And so he, has been able to come in and really make this Lift, Run, Shoot series, not just really like visually stimulating, but also just like, they just capture it all and do a great job of motivation, because it's like a vlog. Right? Like, this is like a very high quality vlog.
It's not just attractive, though. It tells a story.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Brandlin is the one. He's just a genius. He's just everything he touches is gold.
Yeah.
Everything he produces is gold.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Like, we're just all a really good team. And then, Cam, obviously, we brought on Tanner Haynes. So he's doing all of the podcast switchboarding. So he's behind the scenes, making sure that, like, all of the images are good. And then when I'm, like, coughing and about to die in the studio, like, making sure that he changes the camera lens so that they can't see me, like, going in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh, Rihana, here I am in Cam. I'm like, don't hate me. Like, I'm sorry.
Who, at some point, if they have to run a marathon, if they're going to go on the podcast.
Yes.
You're going to scare away some guests.
So that's what we talked about. We did talk about that because the very first episode was Chandler, and I'm like, if this is setting the example of what this is going to look like, no one's going to come.
Yeah.
So, but no, and he really like reads the people. Like Cam is very, very good at knowing where people's limits are and not pushing past them, right? Because he's like, I want to bring these people out here, and I want them to unlock like, you know, what we're trying to, like their potential. I want to unlock that. I don't want them to leave here being like upset. You know, I don't want them to leave here feeling like, you know, they weren't good enough or, you know, whatever,
right.
having a negative experience, because we're pushing them to that cusp.
Because there's some fascinating people that could that bring different skills to the table than a lift, run, shoot kind of skill.
Well, Rich Froning is a perfect example of that. So we had Rich on, you know, World's Strongest Man.
I can't wait for that.
It was great. He was so wonderful. I really, really liked Rich. But, you know, obviously where he thrived was in the lifting session. Like, he is strong. Cam was like, get the camera off me. Do not, you know, because he's like, let's do a pull-up challenge. Let's do this. And Cam's like, you know, he's like, don't film this, you know. Just kidding. Obviously, he doesn't care because it's interesting to see, you know, what these people bring out in Cam, too.
Right.
It's kind of goes both ways, for sure, that motivation. And so, yeah, there's
Rich
certain
was
things
like
that
an
people
idol
drive.
for me.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because you did a lot of CrossFit.
For years. I was way into CrossFit when he first fell from the rope and didn't win the games.
Oh, yes, I heard about that. I didn't even know.
And they're like, dude, how does a guy not be able to climb a rope? Like, it was kind of humiliating.
That's what he said. He did talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, and after that, there was also, it was a kind of a moment for him, too, to reassess his relationship with God, what he thought about a lot of things, and then really, it was a dose of humility and probably an ego check that set him right on a better path in life.
Well, failure is where you find success, right? It's like when you fail, you know what you need to work on and where you need to be stronger. And so that's really kind of, I feel like, what Rich was saying when he talked about falling off the rope. He's like, hey, listen, I failed a lot in life. Yeah. And that's what's gotten me to where I am. It's given me a hunger that I never had before. So I think that that's also what is really great to see.
I could see them getting along too, because Rich is just a redneck who likes to blow things up and light arrows on fire.
And he shot his first bull this year. So him and his friends, they go backcountry Colorado. Like, they're out there in the thick of it. Last day, 14 days in there, you know, like, found success. And like, so that's what's also really cool to hear. It's like, you know, when people get into this sport, it's a lot harder than you think. Like, archery elk hunting is the hardest thing you can do, one of them, you know? And so,
absolutely.
So I think that's also what's really cool, is to see, you know, these people, like, he's like, you know, I went on a guided hunt and I didn't get anything. And then I went on my own hunt backcountry and
not surprising
was successful. You know, which I see it too. And, you know, I really feel like over the past few years, I've really not done the kind of hunting that I want to do. And I feel like it's because, you know, my job has really been to take people hunting, like mountain ops ambassadors and stuff like that, which I love. And I'm so lucky to do it. But there also are two sides of the story, because then I don't get to focus on what I want to do and the hunts I want to go on and that kind of thing. It has to be something that I'm able to, you know, facilitate for others. And so I think, you know, this next year I'm really excited that I'll just kind of be able to, like, take the, you know, take the hunts and do the things that I want to do. Like, I want to really go with Logan too. I mean, you know, he's wonderful. He loves hunting. I want to take him to my special spot in Oregon where I shot that bull. So that's the goal with that. But yeah, no, I mean, I got an elk this past year, and it was really fun. We were with the hunting full crew, you know, really awesome camp, but it wasn't that, like, backcountry hunt that I love so much. And so, you know, it was definitely different. It was not the same.
It wasn't a solo
September.
hunt. It
wasn't a solo.
You know.
Well, actually, so I was by myself.
Really?
I had a cameraman with me. We kind of got we got let loose on this big property, which was really nice. The guy who owns the property was going with me the first few days, and then once he was like, okay, she's competent, like, just, you know, then would tell me where I could go, which I was like, okay, perfect, this is actually what I like. So it ended up being a blessing, and I really did enjoy it. But yeah, no, Hannah was there too, and that poor thing, she was working her tail off. We were there for like 14 days, you know.
She's a little spitfire.
Oh my gosh, I love Hannah. She's so fun. And like, her and her dad, they just made it such an incredible camp. And then Jared Lyle from Hunt and Fool, like, I mean, come on, you couldn't get a better group of people together.
Pure comedy.
Yeah.
Right
oh
there.
my, literally, we were like dying laughing. I probably almost peed my pants like 5 times.
Did she get a bowl?
She ended up getting one, the last day. I ended up having to leave. I'm like, hey, it's been 14 days. I'm like, I got to,
get out.
I did have some more tags that I wasn't even able to go and hunt. Like I had Montana tag. I wasn't able to go. Amanda and I were planning on doing a horse pack trip, but Amanda kept on going out and she wasn't seeing anything. And so she was like, hey, I'll let you know when I find them. And it just ended up not working out. So, and then I had Idaho. Well, I had Idaho deer tag that I wasn't able to go on. It's just, like I love hunting so much and I want to do it as much as I can. So I think I'm going to be a lot more cautious with how I spend my time this year.
Well, it's a challenge. So you're kind of going through a phase that I feel like I'm going through as well, in a sense, because I have certain hunts that get me excited.
Yeah.
But they're not the sort of hunts that lend themselves well to filming or to they're hard. Archery, and you trying to film an archery hunt with low odds of success on a public land, backpack situation. That's what excites me.
Yeah.
But then I have a job to do. I got to bring people a film, and I want to bring people a film. I want to inspire them. I want to entertain them. I want to educate them on hunting.
Yeah.
And you could choose this hunt over here that's kind of tailor-made for production.
Like
right?
the hunt I did in Idaho. I had a cameraman come with me the whole time, and it was private land, so he was able to film, obviously, and that kind of thing.
I could do rifle. I could have. It's easier to film.
Yeah.
It's a shorter hunt. You can usually get it done in a 5-day window or 7, or instead of with a bow,
17 days,
18 days. And you have a cameraman trying to film it, and they're just ruining the hunt for you because they're
loud and
or
stepping
not
on
sneaky, or they had to
twigs.
get the shot, and so they had to move, and it spooked, and it's like, so I'm left with this dilemma, this question, like, okay, if I did this exercise earlier this year, if I write down on a piece of paper the hunts that I want, ignore everything else, all the other motivations that are into it, ignore that this is a job I have to do too, that I get to do, I should say, because I'm blessed. Ignore all that and just say, okay, what would Brian do if there was nothing else to impact it? Write it down. And I'm like, man, these things get me excited. Yeah. This makes me want to go shoot my bow a lot. This makes me want to go exercise more. This makes me want to go do these things. Over here's the ones, and then all the hunts available, list those out. And it's like the ones that are the most conducive to the business side are the ones that interest me the least. Yeah. But to the consumer, they don't really know. They just liked it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that balance. Between what I'm passionate about and what excites me.
Yep.
And also, run a business, and ensure that I have the sort of content available to help inspire and teach and forward the message that I want to forward.
Yeah. It's a dilemma for sure. I mean, it's a hard place to be, because it's like you can do both. You can, but at the same time, you have a family. You have daughters and a wife, and so it's balancing that time and attention to all things, not just hunting. Especially now too, with Logan, he was really able to help me see, like, what do you want to do? Like, why are you on some of these hunts that you don't want to be on, or whatever, like, why would you do that? Our time is so limited and so precious. Like, you need to really think about how you're going to spend it, because you're away from me, you're away from our dogs, and so it was a really, really good thing for me to be able to kind of step back and be like, yeah, what do I want to do? I want to do this podcast with Cam. Like, I want to do that. I want it to succeed. And then too, like, I want to spend time with Logan. So, it's balancing. And I think it's hard to do, but possible. And so, I'm excited. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for all the things to come, and, it's going to bring a lot. And like, I want a family too, that's next on the list for me. So it's like, I have to go out and do these things that I want to do for myself, so that I can be ready to, have some kids.
That's how I feel. It's like,
it's not like you, like, the guys, it's a little easier for you guys to, like, keep doing stuff.
For sure.
For the women, we got to.
Yeah, when you do the family thing, you're sort of roped in pretty hardcore.
I know. I'm like, I just need a really good nanny that can come around and, like,
it's not mutually exclusive. You can still have, but you do have to, like you said, balance it. And so what I've decided was, okay, can I find a way to outsource some of the things the hunts that I would normally feel like I need to get done. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, well, Brad's a good hunter.
Yeah.
Lampers is a good hunter. Can Brad go with Ryan and can they get some stuff while I go do this thing I kind of want to do?
Yeah.
That's probably not going to pan out.
Yeah.
But is still what I want to do.
Fueling your soul.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you find
that
like, fuel power.
And if I cut out a couple more hunts and I just focus on these two really important ones for my audience and stuff.
Yeah.
Then can we fill up the gaps with enough stuff that I don't have to carry the load for all of it, that it's distributed among some others in the group. And I think that's we found that balance a little more. And then all that time with my wife and children, my daughters is more important to me than ever. So I've got all that time that I've carved out with them as well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can't do it all, but you can do your best to try to manage it the most. And it takes a minute because you really need to spend some time prioritizing what matters the most to you. Because if you don't prioritize, you're lost because there's finite resources and time available. And there's a million things you could do.
Yeah.
You really have to narrow down what matters to me most. And you have to amputate. I say amputate because it does. It feels like when I decide I'm not going to do this thing anymore, it feels like I cut my arm off.
Yeah.
It feels like a part of me got dropped. And it is. It's a loss. I'll never be a diver. Like, I kind of want to be a diver. And I want to go deep in the ocean. And I want to do spearfish.
Justin Lee.
Yeah,
go
it's
with
like
him.
a thing I want to do.
Yeah.
It's
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I'm sure Cam, he's such a fan of MMA.
Yeah.
I could just see him. That's what he would love to fight.
For sure.
But he can't live, run, shoot.
No.
And put that into his life at this point. He had to amputate that love and just watch it from afar.
I know.
And I feel like at some point you have to decide in life you can't be it all, you can't do it all.
I know.
And that's a hard thing for people who really want to achieve high-end goals and stuff. It's I don't like it. I feel like I have to cut things out and I don't want to. And I have this chat with Brad all the time because he's 34. I'm going on 48 now. And I'm like, Brad, at some point in life, you can't do it all because he tries to do it all. And I remember being there. No, you're going to drop all. You're juggling a lot of balls, and they're all going to fall. You have to say goodbye to a couple of these hobbies, a couple of these things, a couple of that. If you want to be really good at this,
you have to focus on one thing.
Cam's book is like Obsessed.
Yeah,
being obsessed.
Yeah,
he talks about it.
Obsession is lonely. Like, it's very that's what he says. Yeah,
and he becomes good at
being
these
obsessed.
Few things, the best in the world. Well, when that happens, you don't get to be good at jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Like when you're this kind of bow hunter.
You have to spend your time and attention on that one specific thing that you want to, thrive in life. And it's hard to decide what that is, And I just took on skydiving. I'm like, what in the hell am I thinking? Along with my horse passion and hunting.
Yeah.
Luckily, you can couple some of them together. And two, honestly, like what I would like to do is couple like skydiving in there too. So like when I go to New Zealand, I can just do a skydive and go hunting, Like that's kind of what I
Speaking of skydiving and families and starting this new life.
I know.
Tell me about this Logan Stark guy.
Oh, yes. He's so amazing. I'm so happy. Like, I feel really lucky to find him, honestly, too, because his lifestyle just complements mine. He's one of the core 4 at Black Rifle. So he has been with them since the company's conception. He's just got the same lifestyle that I do.
Yeah.
He loves hunting and skydiving.
Bow hunting.
He loves bow hunting, yes. So that's awesome. And he'll rifle hunt too. And he just started hunting about 5 years ago because him and Evan, they're great friends, and he goes up to Deseret with that whole crew and stuff like that. And he's found success in archery elk, and he's hunting like the elk mecca of the world. So I'm like, okay,
that can be addictive.
You're a little spoiled, let me tell you.
You're like, but Oregon solo hunter over here.
So that's really why I want to take him, because I want to show him like my favorite kind of hunting, and I think that would be like his freaking jam. He'll love it. He'll be like stoked.
A challenge,
very challenging and just really cool terrain. So, but yeah, no, I mean, he's pretty incredible guy. He's just got a lot of depth and character and zero ego, which is great for someone like me because I am successful. And I am busy all the time, and I'm traveling with guys, and I work for Cameron Haynes, and there's all these people that are coming through, and like he's so confident in who he is and our relationship and who I am as a person, like, and never has any question.
How did you guys meet?
So we actually had met. It was at Attack, was the very first time that we saw each other, and I was like, oh, that guy's really cute. And he was like, oh, that girl's really pretty. And so that was the first time that we ever saw each other.
That's sort of necessary.
Yes. I remember because I saw him like staring at me, and I remember turning to Jess Byers, and I was like, who is that guy over there? I was like, why is he looking at me so weird? And she was just like I didn't know if they were like laughing at me or what. And she was like, she didn't know who he was either. And so, but yeah, anyway, so that was the first, first one.
Like most of us would know who Logan Stark is.
I know.
You're like, I don't know.
And he was with Cole. And so I went up and gave Cole Kramer a hug, and I was like, oh my gosh, hi, how are you? And so there was that. And then we ended up going and doing the Sig Hunter games together. So we were at the Sig Hunter games, and that's when he really noticed me, and like he was like, that's where it all started for me. And I was like, you didn't even talk to me. I don't even remember having a conversation with you. I was like, I would have never, ever in my wildest dreams thought that. Yeah. Well, that's kind of when he started like asking people about me. He had just gotten out of a relationship, so we wanted to give it time. Yeah. And then we ended up doing a hunt together that next August. So that was June. We did a hunt together in August, and still like super laid back and reserved. Like I would have never known, but he was looking at me that same way. And I looked at, and I was hunting with Amanda, and I was like, Amanda, Logan is like, does he look at you like really intensely? I was like, he's a very intense guy, huh? And she goes, no, Rihana, he does not. He is into you. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, So, so then we just kind of started talking from there, and just, the rest is history.
That's cool.
We didn't end up going on our first date until January. So like January was like our kind of anniversary type thing. But, and then we ended up hanging out at SHOT Show, and that was really what solidified it all. So, and then now I moved to Texas, and I live there, and we moved in together, and
when you guys started to date and were going out and all that, at what point were you kind of like, what was it that sort of, I remember you were telling me about it, where you kind of went from, I like him, to, wow, this could really be my person.
So I think, it's about having those conversations that are really important, because for me, I'm like, I don't have any time to waste now. Like, I need to find that person I'm going to be with. And I'm not going to date you if like you're just looking for, if you're not looking for the same things that I am, right? So it was a lot of like deep conversations, like, hey, I really want a family. Okay, I do too. Like, I'd like a family sooner rather than later. Me too. Like, could you see yourself having a family with me? Yes. Like, I could see myself having a family with you. So it was just a lot of really like tough conversations that I don't feel like I've ever had before. Yeah. Because, a lot of relationships start with like lust, and you don't want to be that crazy person that's like talking about a family and marriage like on the first date. But for me, I'm like, you know what, if that scares somebody away, then they're not meant for me, right? Like, because that's where I'm going in life. And so it was a lot of really like deep conversations that we were able to have, and we have very similar lifestyles. We enjoy travel, we enjoy hunting, like just a lot of things aligned for both of us. And so it was like, finally I feel like I've been waiting for somebody who's on my level for a long time. And he is that and more, and just so supportive, and wants to see me succeed in all things, and it doesn't matter what it is, but he's just got my back. And so that's what I feel like I've never really had before. I've dated some people, but I think this lifestyle is hard for a lot of people to handle. Mm-hmm. And you have to be a special kind of breed and special kind of person. You know, Logan, he was a scout sniper in the Marines. And so that camaraderie and that, same kind of group that he found in hunting through, he kind of compares the two, very similar, like things. You're out there roughing it, like trying to kill things, like on a mission, basically. Yep. And so he finds a lot of similarities in that in the hunting space. And so he's just super stoked about everything that I'm doing. You know, obviously I have to be in Oregon all the time for these podcasts. And he's like, babe, you're just like building that empire for us. Like you keep on doing it and I'm just going to keep on doing the same thing. So it's really cool to see. And then obviously too, like we do a lot of the same shows. We can go do a lot of the same things together, and we are invited to a lot of the same things, like Winter Strong or wherever. And so it's just really nice.
I'm happy
he's
for
wonderful.
you.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you, Rihana.
Yeah, he's the best.
It's awesome to see. You need somebody special.
Yeah.
What can we expect with Cam's show? Like, how many shows a week? How many shows a month, a year?
We're doing weekly episodes.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot. And maybe there will be a week where it's not a lift, run, shoot series, and maybe it's like me and Cam getting on there talking and doing a Q&A. Yep. We do have some Q&As that we're doing, too. If we have extra time with these people, we'll do, we have a Michael Chandler Q&A that's going to be coming out.
Gotcha.
So we'll have extra little tidbits that we can, expound upon for each podcast. But as far as, the podcast, we'll probably take it on the road at some point too, some things, because there are some people that we want to, go and
hang out at their place.
Yeah, hang out with them. And I think too, he's friends with so many country music singers. So take it on the road and go and do a concert with them, something like that. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity and, now that Cam knows that he wants to do it, right? So this was kind of the question, and it was there was a lot on the line, for my career and for his, because if it wasn't something that he liked doing, we were going to find out really fast.
Well, I would say a one-on-one interview isn't. I wouldn't say that's Cam's favorite activity.
No. He hates talking to people.
Yeah,
he says that himself.
Yeah. But when you combine the lift, run, shoot, first of all, it makes the whole thing fascinating. Who else is doing that?
No.
Nobody. It's unique.
And what he says, too, is it's he wants to talk to these people. These are all... So Cam is curating the whole schedule. He is the one who's picking every person. Yep. I suggest someone, and he's everyone here has suggested people to Cam. Let's just stop doing that right now. It's actually all of Cam's choice. If he doesn't like somebody, he's not going to have... Or not even not like, but if he's not inspired or doesn't feel like there's a common thread or something that he can talk about with them, he's I'm not gonna, so
because when you look, it's a spectacle. When I hear that Cam and Rich Froning are gonna went and did a lift, run, shoot session, I gotta see that. I gotta see that these two guys, these two alpha males, hang out. When I see Chris, when I see Chandler, I gotta see these guys hang out. I have to.
Yep.
And then I'm hoping that some of it rubs off on me.
Yeah.
And then I gotta hear the interview. And I think it's great. I think it's Cam found it. I could see how Cam's okay with the one-on-one interview because he gets to do the all day, lift, run, shoot.
I know. And it is mentally exhausting for him. So it's also, timing it so that it's not that's all we're doing.
It's 52 weeks in a year, Rihana. Did you know that?
I know. So we did say 50 episodes is what he said. So that's kind of what we're thinking. So, no, I mean, and there's no lack of outliers in this world. So, and luckily a lot of them are already friends with Cam or they have some sort of social media connection. And so we do have a pretty good hit list of people that we want to get on there, or that Cam wants to get on there. I say we, but I mean Cam. And then, it's going to be pretty cool and inspiring to see. And I'm excited to see where it all goes. We're number, I think 11 on the charts, which is pretty huge, I feel like. Yeah. So, and then I think number 2 in the sports and fitness, maybe. I haven't looked in a few days, but I mean, we kind of did that on purpose and timed it. So it's been a really great launch, and we're super excited.
like with no activity on YouTube, the algorithm doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't know what to do with this new content that dropped in the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
And yet the numbers are really great. And so that medium is going to take off in its own way. How did it get the word out? I mean, besides Cam's social media platform, I mean, I suppose I did see him with Chris. I haven't listened to that podcast yet, or he's been on Chris's podcast.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some cross-pollination like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so early, but it's going to be a monster hit. I'm super excited. Anybody who can get out there and represent hunters in that way and be a badass.
And bring new ones to the market too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what this is going to do, and it's probably going to piss some people off, to be completely honest. I mean, we all know those hunters out there that want to keep the lands to themselves, and they don't want all this new influx of hunters, and so I'm sure that it's going to be a little controversial in the industry, in the space, but you know what? It is what it is, and two, like I found hunting late in my life, and now looking back, I'm like, who knows where Rihana Cary would be if I had never gotten into hunting.
That's the thing.
Like, I wouldn't be who I am today.
How can you take something that is so important to you and so special and then just
not want to
be
share
so selfish that you couldn't bring that to other people's lives?
That's what it is.
It bothers me.
I know, me too.
It comes up on the podcast here and there because I get hate all the time. I ruined hunting. I did this.
Yep.
This state used to be good, but then all these films and now I can't get a tag. It's Brian's fault.
It's excuses. It's really, that's what it is. Why they're not successful.
Well, what I've been saying is two things. Dude, technology ain't going away.
Nope.
People know the cat's out of the bag.
Yep.
Like, there's going to be, if I don't make a film, someone else is going to.
Yep.
Like, that's just the new normal. That's just the world. We can bitch about it, not like it was in the past. But anybody who complains about technology, you're wasting your time.
Yep.
It doesn't go backwards.
No.
You can't complain about, I like the world before social media. Brian Call liked the world before TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, me too, honestly.
Okay? And Facebook.
Yeah.
I liked it better.
Yep.
I wish we could go back, even though I've used it to grow a career.
And motivate and inspire.
With all the good. I still am like, man, I miss the old days.
Yep.
And we can all be nostalgic for it, and we can all complain about it. It's not going away.
No, absolutely
So it's a waste of time.
Yep.
It's a waste of time. It's only going to keep moving forward.
Yep.
The second thing is, it's a waste of time, but I also think it breeds competition.
Yep.
Okay, all this breeds competition. The learning curve to go out and archery hunt is that much smaller than it used to be.
Yep.
The equipment is that much better than it used to be. All the podcasts and shows and stuff that educate are so much better than they used to be.
Yeah.
The knowledge, the tools, go hunt, like apps to go and like research units, hunt and fool, all that stuff. The resources are there. The learning curve is gone. It's smashed. It's flat.
You still have to be motivated to go and look at those resources, though, and some people still aren't even motivated to do that.
True, but it's just objectively easier to become a hunter today than it was 10, 20 years ago.
Yep.
Which means there's more competition for this hunting opportunity than there used to be.
Yep.
But competition forces people to grow,
Yep.
to go to a new place, to start hunting a new state, to start applying to multiple states, to start doing this, right? One thing after the other.
Yeah.
And competition is for the strong. And anyone who complains about competition is just weak.
Weak, exactly.
Don't
and what
be
they
weak.
also don't account for is like the people leaving the hunting space year after year, right? Because there's people that drop off that are no longer hunting probably because they're aging out too. Like they can't do the same things that they used to do.
That's true, but
maybe
I would
not
say
huge amount.
I don't think it's that much, Rihana. I think if you look around, and I do a lot of public land over-the-counter type stuff, every year
there's more and more people.
It dwindles.
Yeah.
There's less over-the-counter tags than there was the year before.
Yeah.
In fact, they're going to a draw now. Take Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Arizona, all of these places. It's just like more and more every year. There seems to be more and more people who want to do it.
Yeah.
And fewer tags. That's why, if I can't get a mule deer tag, I want to get a Coues deer tag. I can't get a Coues deer tag in Arizona. I could probably go to Mexico. It's not that expensive. Like you adapt. I'm going to go to New Zealand because I want a sheep, but I can't export. We're going to go back. I'm going to go to Alaska because it's DIY and I can hunt moose. And The price tag is so affordable.
And you guys shot giant moose. Oh my gosh, that whole trip I was like, holy smokes.
It was pretty sweet.
I keep waiting for the invite to go hunting with you guys, but
yeah.
That's
but you know what I mean? Like, it is harder. I will give the devil his due. It is more difficult to get a tag, but that competition has pushed me to expand and to get better and to find new ways to get healthier, hike further, and work harder. And so I think it's better. Same with business. If one business is competing with another, consumer wins.
Yeah.
I
agree.
But if they can just sit there and just produce the same thing and no one ever pushes them because they might lose their position in the industry, it's like, then we all suffer.
Yeah.
So I'm all like, hey, let the competition go.
Yep.
Don't complain. It's weak. And technology's here to stay. Get over it.
Yep.
And just try to win.
Yep. I agree.
So.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That was my soapbox.
Oh, yeah. Any other questions? What other questions do you have for me? You were pretty excited about your list, but maybe we covered it all.
I think we covered it. I like it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep following along on the Cam Hanes podcast. And
all right, I hope you enjoyed that episode. It got caught off 3 minutes early.
Yep.
Because we ran out of memory card at the show, which was Brad's fault. It's always Brad's fault. Any technical difficulty is Brad's fault. But no, we lost the show at the very end. But what I was in the middle of saying is I really appreciated Cam's new show. I'm excited about Rihana's involvement over there and what they're building together. Hope you enjoyed the show, got a little behind the scenes of how that's going on. Give Rihana a follow. Check out Cam's new show. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Check out Mountain Ops. Check out Peaks Equipment. If you like the show, that supports us. And always subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment. That always helps us. Thank you, and stay gritty.